Uh, all right. Looks like we are good to go. You guys set?
All good.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, let me kick us off. Welcome back, everybody, to another Fall Obsession podcast episode. I'm Sam hosting you guys. Have a couple of returning guests on our show. I have Alex and Ryan from Vantage Point Archery joining me this week. We actually had them on the show, I believe it was last year sometime, guys, maybe before deer season, somewhere in there. Um, Episode 190 something if you guys want to go back and uh, check out the previous episode. But how you guys doing? Welcome back to the show.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
thanks
us.
for having us. Excited to be here.
Oh,
I'm feeling a little rushed today. A little bit. Like it's getting a little crazy around the shop. It's that time of year. We're starting to feel it a
yeah.
little bit.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a good thing. Like from everything I've been seeing and what we've been talking about kind of beforehand, before recording this podcast, it's you guys have got some awesome growth and some awesome stuff going on, and yeah, it's exciting stuff for sure. So. I wanted to give you all the opportunity before we get into some of the new things we want to talk about, though. Like I mentioned, y'all have been on the show before, but our listener base has expanded. We have more people tuning in to Fall Obsession Podcast today than we did last year. So kind of give us just a quick overview on what you guys do, what your brand is, and what makes y'all special, all that kind of stuff.
Go ahead,
Sure.
Al.
I
You're
was
the
gonna say
brand.
you want me to take that one?
You got that.
Yeah, so I guess kind of just recapping, who we are and how we got started. We've been around, so VPA's been around probably 2008, 2009 is when we made our first broadhead. So we're a machine shop that's, our specialty. And our head engineer that's still with us, Jeff Miller, was, really big into traditional archery and just saw the need to make a better quality product. Kind of combining his two passions. I think our first head, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, was a 3 blade, like 150 grain maybe. And then he just kind of took that to
Exactly, yeah.
shoots, showed it off, caught some attention at that kind of thing, and word of mouth for a few years. And then Ryan and some of our other team members came into the picture in the past few years. We've really, started growing this thing, getting into a lot of archery shops across the world, distribution, growing our online presence. So it's been fun to watch the growth and, started out with just handing it out at shoots to now, mass producing broadheads for, 2 blade, 3 blade, 100 grain all the way up to 300 grain. I don't even know how many SKUs we have anymore. It's hard to keep track and we're running out of room on the shelves and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's been fun to watch the growth.
For sure. Single bevel, double bevel, two blade, you name it. It's kind of like, I don't know, we're somewhere in use dumpers and it's over 100, but like it's a lot of fun. We kind of like we'll stand on a soapbox on American made pretty much. Like we have over 40 families in the shop now that running 3 shifts. We're not running 3 shifts on broadheads all the time. We're machining a lot of other stuff for the all for the outdoor world. Let's just leave it at that, which is a lot
Yeah.
of fun. We love seeing cool stuff come through the shop that we can help guys not only bring back to the States, but also like provide like a great machine product.
That's awesome. So I want to ask a little bit, just without getting too political with the conversation, right? But I mean, even since we last talked, right, the political climate in America has shifted a little bit. Um, are there any hurdles that you guys are having to deal with as far as trying to make a product that's attainable for your everyday hunter? That is made on American soil? Are there any hurdles that came with that being a manufacturer yourselves?
No, not at all. Like I- no, like for the single fact that like we're sourcing our material locally, right? Like it's right
Right.
down the road from us. That's where we get our material from. Like even our tooling for all our broadheads, it's made locally and we can get that pretty fast. Um, Lead times on something like clamshells and getting that stuff, like that's kind of a pain sometimes, but that's still made in Missouri, right? And they're just busy. So like that would be my longest lead time, but like sourcing that stuff and having it in the shop and being ready to put it into production is days, not weeks, right? Like it's days. Like if I tell the shop like, hey, I need 1,000 3 blade 100 grain broadheads, they'll get on it next week and they'll start producing those.
That's awesome.
Which is really cool, right? Like when you think about that, like I'm not waiting 6 weeks, or I'm not ordering like for the year and ahead. That way they can have it over here and have it in time to get it in the stores and get it in the shops and like deal with. Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine like can't imagine doing it that way.
Yeah. No, that would be that'd be very challenging too. And I know, and I might ask some more questions throughout the episode about it, but just everybody loves to buy American made, right? If it seems like most Americans want to buy American made, I mean, or that would be the theory, right? But it's always interesting. I like asking people kind of, just what that looks like from the manufacturer standpoint and everything, because it's not every day I have an American manufacturer on the podcast. So that's pretty
Sure.
cool. So, some of the new products that you guys are working on, and I like following you on social media. I like seeing what y'all are coming out with next and everything, and then this opportunity to talk to you guys about kind of the science and the mentality, the inspiration behind some of these products. First one to mention, and this is something you guys I know wanted to discuss, was the Archery Country Hole Punch new broadhead. So let's talk about that and kind of what's unique and special about this product.
Yeah, so
I'll
that, like you
go ahead,
mentioned,
Al.
I'll give them the overview and you can get into the nitty-gritty on the your kind of stuff, right, Ryan?
Sure.
Um, so we just partnered with Archery Country down in Austin, Texas. Just a great company, great people. They had an idea for a broadhead and knew that we were, had a reputation for manufacturing quality products in the USA. So it was really cool just to collaborate with another brand and bring it to life. But it's essentially, if you haven't seen a picture of it, it's a 3 blade with little, we call them spreaders in between each blade. So it's kind of like a 6 cutting surface broadhead. Maybe we can throw a picture up here later, but
Yeah.
um, calling it the hole punch because that's exactly what it does. Just more cutting surface, more blood trail, all that good stuff. So been super popular with the people who've been testing it down in Texas, and we'll have it on our website actually here soon for distribution.
Awesome.
Yeah, we started that. We designed it as a 100 grain broadhead. Um, and a lot of those guys in Texas, right, like want those heavier grain weights. Like they even said, "Hey, can you do this in a 125?" I'm like, "For sure." They're like, "Well, what about a 150?" I'm like, "Let's go." Like, what do you want next? So it's kind of evolving. Not only evolving in grain weights, but just even on the sharpening side, right? We're not touching the spreaders that are machined out, but we are sharpening obviously the head itself. Um, the flies like a dart. It's a cool little broadhead. I've been shooting them in the backyard. I could run and probably try to find some, but they tear up targets. That's the one thing that like when they pull back out because of those spreaders, man, they just pull out chunks. I'm like, ah. So that's one thing I've said. Like, do you want to spend money in broadheads and shoot them, or do you want to spend money in targets? So I guess I'm spending money in targets, which I like. I don't mind doing.
Yeah. No, you want a product that's going to last for sure. I and this might even be a question that would be cool to or a topic to discuss. Maybe even a future opportunity to have the folks from Archery Country on. But what what was the initial pitch, like the initial inspiration? Were there issues that they were seeing with the products they were using that there just wasn't anything on the market? Like that initial idea to create a product like this, where did that kind of come from?
We met Tyler. I mean, we sold to him, but we met him. I think at Shot Show was it the year before last, Al? I'm not really don't it might have been. And we went to a couple functions together and hang out. And I don't know if it was I think it was Jeff said, "Hey, what about doing like an archery country head?" And he's like, "For sure." It's like, "Is that hard to do?" And we're like, "No." we've got a design engineer, Daryl Barnett, kind of like took that over. He's the guy that designed the Omega broadhead, and he's like, I've got some ideas on a three blade broadhead. Not that there's not anything else on the market that guys can shoot. It's just something different, right? And everybody's always looking for something different. So it's something that's how it really came about. Like for sure we can do that. Like what type of quantities you look in? Like how many can we make in a batch? And like let's make it a win-win for both. Like we don't just have to sell BPA. We just want to make stuff that's a good quality product when it comes down to it. A good solid head that people can shoot and reuse.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. The my archery brain, as I call it, is running right now, thinking about this product and everything. My two questions, and these are two things that I ask myself uh with every broadhead that I test out, are how it flies and tunes out of the bow, and then long distance. Have y'all done much testing with it at like long range archery shots and that kind of thing?
Brian's frozen on us
Oh,
here.
we might have lost Ryan. Oh, there he is.
I'm back. Sorry about that. Well, I did question, Sam.
Yeah, sorry. So I was just asking if, um, from the standpoint of like tuning this broadhead or the flight itself, and then for me, I like playing with long range archery shots. How does this, has there been any testing or anything going on as far as figuring out how this head flies at longer distances, or what customers can expect, as far as tuning with this broadhead?
Tuning a solid one piece broadhead is always going to probably the everybody like it's not just something you can throw on there and go out and shoot Saturday morning, right? When going on
Hmm.
a hunt, guys are gonna have to do the work. As far as flight characteristics, I know that like with Jordan, he's the lead archery tech down in archery country. He said, "Man, I'm throwing them out to 100, 115, 110." I'm like two blade or two, three, four. He's like, I'm doing all sorts of fletchings. I'm not having issues with it. The problem that he's having, and like I said before, it's just hard on targets.
Yeah.
Um, they don't like to throw them. They don't like to throw them in the shop, right? Which I understand, but you're going to have that with any solid one piece broadhead. The one thing that for me here personally at home in the backyard, I like sighting in and tuning in a two blade or a single bevel broadhead more than I like tuning in and slinging in a three blade broadhead. Um, I can just get them to fly faster and tune quicker out of the setup that I'm running. And that's just for me, right? Like that's just personal. Other guys are like, man, I don't have an issue with three blades. I'm like, I have more of an issue with a two blade or the single bevel. I'm like, to each their own on that. It's just one of those things that's different for each guy, I think, and what they're used to. But to answer your question, like, no, can they be shot out at bombs? And well, I'll send you some and let you try it. Like, yeah, I've got some in the shop for sure. Like, I'll get some coming your way. That way you can fletch some up and see how they fly.
I'd certainly be curious, man. I love playing around with stuff, and I'm rocking a new archery setup this year, except for my arrows. I haven't changed my arrows. I love my arrows too much, but I got a new bow and new everything else that I'm rocking this year. So yeah, definitely getting comfortable with that, and I've always loved shooting longer distance, and even though I don't have a Western hunt coming up for 25, I like hunting out west, and I certainly prepare and train on every year as if I'm going to, because last couple years for sure I have been. So um yeah, that's always my question. I know a question for a lot of guys, and I've been one of those guys that has kind of leaned traditionally over the years toward the mechanical broadheads, just because there's that just I don't know if the right term is slipping my mind, but it's just kind of a staple in every archer's just superficial mindset of, oh yeah, long distance expandable, that way they fly better.
Yeah, there's
And
less air resistance there, right? Like there's less
yeah.
planing abilities. Like that's just it. Like with a solid, like with hyperdermy, you name it. Let's call them with a rage, with any of those. Like they're gonna fly better at distances because they're streamlined. There's less air movement and resistance. When you get a three blade or a two blade or whatever, you've got to be able to tune that in. It takes
Hmm.
more work, right? Yeah, it just takes more work.
Yeah, you can get away with not being as tuned, right, with your bow and taking that extra time. I think it's just what we've learned, and I think a lot of guys, which makes sense if you don't have that time or maybe don't want to get into that nitty-gritty as much, but like Ryan mentioned, as long as your bow's well tuned, these heads are gonna fly great. And I think part of that's the way that they're made, right? So not all fixed blades are CNC machined, but with ours being made that way, they're coming out concentric and each blade weighs the exact same. So there's no, unevenness there. So it's just helping the flight characteristics.
Gotcha.
Well said, Alex. Well said.
She's got it down. She's got it down
Man.
for sure. So, and I'm kind of trailing off of this topic just a little bit, but and I might have asked this or we discussed this on our last episode. But what in your mind, what are the um and a lot of people probably know the answer, but what are the advantages of a fixed head like this, a solid head, compared to what else is on the market? And what should what should folks be considering as far as an ideal weight for their broadhead
Oh.
for hunting? I know it's a debate, and we even debated, I think, a little bit in the last podcast, but well, I might be opening up a can of worms. But
Oh man, you definitely overcame. First question, like, the main thing, like even with our heads, like it's a lifetime warranty. Like if you scratch it, dent it, like you doesn't like even guys will be like, hey, I got them and they're not like flying right. Like, let me know. Like, I want to spin test them. We spin test everything that goes out of the shop, but then I can like look at them and even FaceTime, like, hey, like one guy, like his insert was just jacked, and I could see it over FaceTime. I'm like, dude, like it looks like that your insert's not squirting. Like, oh, I didn't even notice that. I'm like, okay, well maybe try that, and I think that'll fix that run out pretty fast. He's like, yeah, for sure. I'm like, okay, good. Um, that's the big thing with a solid one piece broadhead for us, and what we'll talk about a lot is that it's a lifetime warranty. Like, kill an animal, bend it, scrape it, like I'm gonna send you a new head. The other thing is, Alex just talked about that, like run out in a broadhead and a solid one piece is like, and like depending upon like if you're doing a 125 or say a 150, um, your run out is less than 3/10, which is half of a human hair from the front to the back of it. So there should not be any run out. Like your arrow, it's more often that your arrow isn't cut. There's something wrong in your nock, like you're not lit up, your insert, like it's not in the head majority of the times. There have been cases where we don't get through QC and we have to own it and kind of eat some crow and send out some new heads because like we just didn't do our due diligence up front, and we're willing to own that and be like, hey, we'll get you some new ones coming, and I'll actually spin test them personally myself just to make sure before they go out. The grain weight thing, I'm building my lightest arrow to date. Gonna be, I'm still Midwest hunting in Indiana, and it's gonna be in that 485, 495 range. That's just what I personally like. That's
mhm.
just me here, Midwest Indiana, and knowing that my bottom pin's probably going to be at 40 yards. Doesn't mean like I sweet like dialed sight on there. I'm so excited to use it and go and throw some bombs. I love it, but maybe I'll sign friends for that I want to pop it like 100 yards. Maybe I will, but I think I've got that capability and the poundage in my draw length. I know like before I even go out there that I'm going to be comfortable taking that shot. I think that's the big thing, like making sure guys are practicing with that setup before they even do anything. I think majority of the guys are, but also like whether you're shooting 420 or whether you're shooting 660, man, we make a broadhead all the way in between that. Like, how can we help you out and get you something that you feel comfortable shooting?
Yeah.
Um, I don't want to put guys in holes and be like, no, you only need to shoot like a 485 grain arrow. It's got to be three fletched with a left vertical, and this is what you're shooting. No, that's not us.
Yeah. I've shot hunter grain heads pretty much most of my archery career. and my arrow build out even with a 100 grain head was still like 435, which I was happy with. I'm going a little bit heavier this year. I'm going up to 125s, so that's going to put me about a 460 grain arrow. I'm liking the way that it's thumping out of that new bow that I'm rocking. So yeah, we'll see how that shakes out this year, but I'm excited for it. So it's gonna be good. I'm the same way. I don't want to dog anybody on their setup, and like I said, I'll raise my hand. I've been that guy that's been shooting 100 grain heads for years. But yeah, there's no shame in trying something different too. I say that right after I said I'm not changing my arrow because I like my arrows too much, but but yeah,
Oh, that's
that's
so
good.
good. Out of that, like with that 125, are you a left or a right helical? Are you running a straight fletch? Or what bow are you running?
So this year I'm
Are you allowed
running
to
the
talk about the new bow?
no, no, I could talk about it. We're actually, we're one of my team members said we're single in the archery world because we've had a formal bow partner for years, and this year we're actually going with no partner this year. So our team's free to shoot whatever they want, and I'm shooting a prime. The Revix is the one that I'm running this year, so not the new carbon hybrid just yet. I considered it, but some just personal preferences and other factors lean me toward that Revix, and I've enjoyed it so far. It's been a very comfortable bow for me. What's really honestly what I like the most about is the way I grip my bows. Like I've shot Hoyt in the past, I've shot Matthews, I've shot Elite, shot all those brands, and I've always had a very just the way I grip a bow. I'm not clinching down on it by any means. It's a very soft grip, but I always get this hand torque that I'm fighting when I'm
Mhm.
tuning and everything. It's just how I am. And that prime, when when I shot it, the grip felt more comfortable than any other bow that I've shot in recent years. So I was very pleased with that as far as how it fit me as a shooter. And then when I tuned it, it took two shots, and all that it needed was an up and down adjustment. My left and right was perfect. And
That's real nice.
Wow.
I have never had a bow. I've had a bow that I could tune very easily, but I've never had a bow that I haven't had to make left to right adjustments when paper tuning. And this was the first
Wow.
time. So when that happened, I was like, okay, I'm very confident right now with this bow. Like I'm liking the way this is shaping up. So and it's been great ever since. But um yeah, I kind of went on the long answer, but what was your
No,
original question?
no, I'm just thinking about whole. Well, yeah, I want to make sure I get you some 125 grain broadheads down there. That way you can try them out. That way you can throw those too. Just to see how they fly, right? And just to see
Mhm.
that way you can throw those into some targets and see how, like, because now that it's tuned, right? Now I'm assuming you tuned it with just field points,
Yeah,
right?
I've been tuning it with field points. Last year I ran I actually had my quiver looked like I don't know, it looked like a poor man's quiver because I had like all these different broadheads that were coming in and out of it constantly, and I was like, man, I need some uniformity. I had like three different brands of broadheads that I was playing with throughout the year last year. But yeah, to answer your question, I tuned it just coming out of the shop a month or two ago just with field points. So
Yeah, I'd like to get you just like, because it's done with fuel points, and now throw like a set of our broadheads on there and see how they actually tune out, right? Like I'm
yeah.
excited for you to try that. That way you can be like, you know what? He's right. There's not much adjustment going on here.
No, I would be down, man, for sure. And that would definitely like, you guys know what we do with hunting and outdoor media. That would be a really cool kind of collaboration on social media to do as well, would be to kind of showcase folks like, hey, here's new setup. This is what I did when I tuned it. Now we're throwing this broadhead on there. Let's see what it does. That would be a pretty
That'd be
cool
awesome.
experiment for sure.
I think a lot of people have that question too, and you just don't know if you've never done it before, right? So, yeah, that I think that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, you guys. I just got a message from my daughter. She says, "Hey, there's a squirrel in the front yard. Can I try and shoot with my bow?"
That it's funny you
Sure.
mentioned that because the podcast that I did last week, we actually we were just exchanging stories. We had another podcast host on with our team, and he hosts the Hunting Stories podcast. That's all he does on his show is just talk to people about hunting stories, and it's kind of a round table campfire, deer camp feel to it and everything. But all that is to say, we got to talking about squirrels and just all these random squirrel hunting stories that people have. And you said that made me think of it. He told a story about how he pinholed a squirrel in the backyard with a field point one time, and his
I'll
wife
let you
wasn't
know.
too happy. So,
I'll let you know if it happens.
Ryan, you mentioned, and I don't know if it was jokingly or if it's actually what you're running, but you said something about a dialed sight. Is that what you're running
I
right now?
am, yeah, like we partnered with them. Um, yeah, in the last like year, got to know those guys and helping them out on the machine stuff, and just it's
Awesome.
been really good. And it's my first one. A little nervous, right? Like there's just a lot going on in that thing. And I actually took it to a friend of mine. He's got one, and it's my bow is still at his place, and so he's working on it and getting it set up and helping me out because man, it just goes over my head, and I get frustrated in a hurry.
Yeah.
Like, no, go this way. Like, no, that's wrong. So I'll be down there this weekend, hopefully, and we can finish it up. But yeah,
Nice.
it's my first dialed side. I'm excited for it.
What kind of profile in the site housing did you go with as far as,
Three pin vertical. So I went even
okay.
vertical on that. Yeah. So like I did it all different this year. Yep.
That's awesome. I actually I have the exact same setup, a 3-pin vertical on order with our pro shop we're partnered with down here as well.
Okay.
I've shot CBE the last several years and I got no complaints about them, but last couple years I've been running like their 2V Pro, which is a 2-pin sight. You may be familiar, but it's essentially like two single pins in one, right? You got two pins and two uh tape indicators
Yeah.
on the sight and everything. And I've played with it for a couple years now. I haven't had any issues with it. I've come to the conclusion that it's just not for me. I just don't like it. So
Yep.
I'm changing it up this year, and I texted him actually a couple days ago saying, "Hey, go ahead and order me one." So I got one I got to go put on my bow here in a couple weeks. So yeah, I'm excited for him as well.
Yeah. That's I'm excited for you. Yeah, I am excited because I got mine. I'm like, oh, it's so cool. Like I was so excited to have that thing. Yep. Like a kid
Yeah.
in the candy store, right?
I've been seeing them all around. Of course, that past couple years they've been getting really popular and everything. Everybody's been running one, and I was at the firehouse the other day and talking to one of my buddies about it, and another guy sitting there who's not into archery, and he's just like, "How much money for a sight? What did you say?" I'm like, "Hey man, you got no idea. Archery will drain your bank account real quick." So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So, another thing that I know you guys wanted to discuss or mention on here was talking a little bit, shifting gears a little bit to some crossbow specific stuff that you guys are working on. And Alex, you specifically mentioned in some of the notes you sent me was the Omega Ascender. So, you guys want to talk about that a little bit and kind of where all that stemmed from and everything?
Yeah, we can talk about that. So we kind of launched the idea ATA and just wanted to get some feedback earlier this year. I think last time around we kind of dove into the Omega series and what makes that great. So for people who haven't heard about it, it's a single bevel head we designed with Daryl Barnett, we mentioned earlier. It's a single bevel that's designed to lay flat to sharpen. So, with other traditional single bevels, you have to buy a jig to sharpen them, and sometimes it can just be a pain in the butt. Buying the jig makes it more expensive. So we're just kind of trying to make this dummy proof for sharpening because not everybody wants to take the time or the hassle to, go through the sharpening process. But with fixed blades, it's important to maintain them and you can reuse them season after season. So from that, we had our Omega launch and it's been super successful. And then from there, kind of branched out to the Omega with bleeders was kind of this past year's main selling broadhead, and got more feedback and wanted to kind of dive into the crossbow world a little more specifically. So with this head, the Ascender is what we're calling it. It's almost acts as like an outsert insert system broadhead all in one. So I'll let Ryan kind of get into the nitty gritty on it. We're still kind of in the testing phases, but should be launched here in hopefully here soon at least.
I don't know if we'll be launched here soon now. Like, we'll see on that. I not that I don't want to get to market as soon as possible, but I also want to take the time and make sure it's tested right and get it in the guys' hands that are running it. It is on a 350. It'll work off a standard insert, so anything you want, and then it'll have almost like um connector, a threaded connector on both ends, and one end will screw in with the 832nd into your shaft, and the other end will screw into the broadhead. So everything's coming together with an insert outsert system, like she was saying. You can also my big thing for this is I want it on 4 mil, 5 mil, right? Like it's there, can do the technology that we can. Um, we we want something on a solid one piece head to fly at 575 FPS and not tail, right? And not float and not like, and we want to make sure we can do that with a solid one piece head and a crossbow. So it's technologies there, and we're able to do that. We already got some out in the field with Raven. They've been doing quite a bit of testing on that for us. And then we're just now going into that side of producing some and making sure our tolerances are good enough and making sure that like we can get everything packages and made and like make sure like those are all going to come together at the same time. Um, yeah, but it will start out as a bolt. I know that I'm more excited for the 4 final. Like I think it'll be a really sweet head. The
Yeah.
cool thing about it is it's only going to be made in one grain weight, and that's 125 grains.
Okay.
Everything else will be changed by your insert system, like whatever you want to put in there, right? Like if you want brass, if you want steel, if you want titanium, if you want like your choice of ordering from Ethics on what you want. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's very unique for sure. I like that concept, and I'm not even a crossbow guy. So so what kind of, and this might give away some of my just being a novice with all this kind of stuff, but um when you guys are designing a crossbow head, and I think you touched a little bit on it through all that, but what are some of the key factors that change in designing a crossbow head compared to a uh, just your normal archery head for a compound bow or a traditional bow?
It's 100% FPS,
Okay.
your feet per second. Yep. Like you could shoot like even like our broadheads cross all three platforms. They will do that. The issue with shooting a 200 grain three blade broadhead, you can droop that thing at 40 and 50 yards, coming out at 375 FPS, 400, whatever that is, right? When you go past a certain distance, like 70, 80, like the further you go out, the more chance of playing you have, the more chance of like getting those offshoots. Just because you're flying so fast and you
Hmm.
can't, it's rear steer, right? So it's like it can't keep up with that. So
I got you.
there's a lot of technical terms there that Daryl could probably teach us on that, but I'm just not smart enough.
Well, I'm not either. Yeah. I have a reputation, just kind of on the humorous side of ragging on people with crossbows. Just and I will follow it up by saying that I completely understand that there's a time and a place for someone. I I've never cared for the guy that was just like who admits I'm too lazy to hunt with a compound, so I'm just going to hunt with a crossbow. And in Texas, that just translates to you basically have an extra month to hunt with something that's almost like a rifle in your eyes. So, but there is a time and place for it, and just because I've humorously joked about that, I have a reputation on our show now for for not liking crossbows apparently. But I am
No,
curious with it, but.
it wasn't too long ago. I was on a podcast and I said that same thing. Like, I'm not for the crossbow guy, right? Like, I'm not that I don't like. I think there's like wounded warriors stuff like you're getting older and you can't pull back bow. There's certain people that like should be able to use a crossbow, and I 100% like love them getting out in the woods and being able to hunt. I
Oh
do,
yeah.
but if you're 18 years old or 40 years old, like my age, but almost 50, like you can pull back a bow to 70 pounds, like dude, go do it. Like go shoot your vertical bow. There's like just do it. Like, I want
Yeah.
to take away your man card sometimes. Like, no, you can't have that. Like,
No.
oh, I'll probably get now. I'll be classified as a hater for crossbow guys.
Yeah. Yeah, right after I clip that out and put it on social media.
Yeah, just that part.
Just
Yep.
just kidding. I won't do that to you. I actually when I before I was a firefighter, I worked at an archery shop as a bow technician. So it's been over a decade since I was actively involved as a tech anywhere, but some of it still stuck with me, thankfully. But I can remember that there was one other tech there early when I first started, like working full time and everything at that shop. He was like the only guy there that could work on crossbows, and I was eager and motivated. I wanted to get into it and everything. And so he was like, "Yeah, let me show you how to work on these things and everything." So I ate it up. I learned real quick I don't like them, especially when you're working on them. Like that's it's a lot of tension, and I did not care for it. Um, and then after he got me trained up, every crossbow that started coming through the door is like, "Hey, give it to Sam." I was like, "Crap! I just set myself up for failure on this one." I put a
That's how it goes.
Yep,
Wow.
I was young and eager to learn everything, and it ended up not working in my favor in that regard because I learned quickly I didn't care for working on them myself, but then I was that guy. So that's how it goes
Funny how
sometimes.
that goes. Yeah.
Yeah. So what else does VPA have going on? I know you guys have a whole nother side of some products and machining that you guys work on and everything, and man, I mean we're an open book here. Like we can talk about however much of that you guys want to, but I know you guys have a whole lot of other stuff than just broadheads in the works. So
Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I was gonna say we could talk on the traditional side. We've got
Mm.
ILF risers that we've had around for a while now. So started with a 13-inch, I think for a few years. That was the only size we had. And then last year we came out with a 15-inch. They've just been selling like crazy and becoming really popular. So, I think, popular for VPA, but also just more popular in the market. People kind of getting into the traditional side, it's a good stepping stone, I think. So launching some bigger sizes there. So a 17 next, working on that now. I think the guys are getting ready to get that on the machine. And then a 19 here in the future too. So we've had a
nice.
ton of requests for them, just trying to listen to customers and see what they want. So yeah, kind of outside of broadheads, that's our next thing going on.
Awesome.
I've seen a push and talked to a lot of guys on that side of they're going back to when they were kids. Like they're putting away the compound a little bit and having that side of like just plinking around the backyard. Like, yeah, I think I'll try an ILF. I'm like, that's a great idea. Like, why? And they're like, just because. Like, I'm tired of
Yeah.
shooting dimes. I'm like, why? Like, I get so frustrated when I shoot that riser. But a lot of guys like they can trick out in that, which I love. It's so cool.
I've definitely seen something similar too, and I'd be lying if I said that I hadn't thought about it also. I have so many things going on and so many irons in the fire. I'm like, I cannot break into traditional archery right now. That's just not in my own best interest at the moment. But hopefully one day I might be able to break that barrier. But I have one friend here local. He's been on our show before. His name's Jesse Johnson. He's a huge traditional archer and everything, and he a big public land hunter. But he went from I think a couple years ago he actually sold his compound and went just full-fledged into the trad side of everything. And he hunts public land in Texas with either a traditional bow or like an old school muzzleloader with iron sights and everything. Those are the only like that's what he hunts with and everything. And I'm like, dude, respect. And he kills more deer than I
Yeah.
do. So, but he
Like you
went
and I,
full
but
fledged into
we,
it.
yeah, we understand like bow hunting is hard to begin with, and then the dude
Hmm.
wants to take out a stinking recurve or a like old longbow or something like that's just even more. But it's so much more like those shots are so much closer too, like
Oh
15,
yeah.
20 yards. Like it's just amazing.
Oh yeah. And I mean he goes deep back in there and he saddle hunts and does all that kind of stuff. And he's just he's better at it than I am. I'll be the first to admit. He's just a good woodsman is what he is, and that's part of it
Yeah,
too. Like when you're in to trad archery and everything, there's you just said it's all close quarters and everything, and there's a whole nother layer to it, and you got to be squared away and know what you're doing, and being a good woodsman out there, I think is half the battle as far as putting yourself in the right position to be successful in the first place, and then being actually good enough to execute the shot ethically. So,
for sure, for sure.
what else is going on in the machining world other than your risers? I know you guys have kind of a, I believe it's an armory side to some of your
Hmm.
stuff as well.
Yeah, so last year at SHOT Show we had one of our other design guys that developed a um non it's a compensator that mounts to your rail of your gun. It's gun and sight specific and offers mitigation and keeping you on target so you don't
Okay.
have as much rise when you're shooting. Also, it's 50 state legal. So we really
Okay.
like that fact. So you can be sold into any state. Um, they
Since there's
also
no
are
threaded barrel.
correct. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, so they're called, it's Vantage Point Armory. They're made out of 7075 and 6061 aluminum. We have them now, and I believe 20 different models. And that's the weird thing is every one is specific to them. Right? Like you just can't put a M7 or Sig M17 doesn't fit at 18. They're totally two different compensators. So getting those out and making those and machining those has been like a tree, like a hard push. Like we're just finishing up 19 rail mount. It's going to anodize to get those to market. Then we'll go to the Glock 17. Hopefully we'll get those rolling out pretty quick. It's been a lot of fun. It's getting me into a side because I love archery, but it's getting me into a side also where I get to shoot a handgun. So I love that. Like shooting anything's fun.
Oh yeah. I certainly enjoy time on the range, even with firearms, as rare as I do it. Like I mentioned, it might have been before we hit record, but I'm an archery guy. I own firearms. I've hunted with firearms, but the last 12 or 13 years, all my big game hunting has just been archery hunting. So I haven't shot anything with a rifle in a long time. But I do like to play with a handgun or stuff like that on the range when I get the chance. So you're right, it's fun.
And I think it comes down to just being a machine shop. It's like the nature of everybody has their own interest there and they know how to make products. So it's like, hey, I've got this idea. I'm really into shooting at the range, and this whole brand kind of was just born from that, which is pretty
Mhm.
cool. So I guess we'll see, what other markets we get into if based on, what the guys at the shop are into at the moment. So
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the cool part, especially with, from what I've come to learn just about y'all's team and everything, yeah, that seems like possibilities are endless. You have a lot of creativity, internally, it sounds like, and in your connections, outside of your own organization, and that leads to some pretty awesome products. So it's always cool to see what you guys are working on.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
appreciate it.
never boring, right? Yeah, thanks for that. It's never boring at the shop. Like, what about this? I'm thinking, okay, like who's gonna use that? I don't know. Somebody. Well, let's make a tank part, electric tank. I'm like, really? We're thinking, really? Okay.
Yeah, why not? Let's try it.
Why not? So yeah, it's a little bit like even Alex, like I always be like it's like squirrel, like there's so many squirrel, not hunting squirrels, but like even in our
Yeah.
shop, like we're going down different tracks as fast as we can sometimes.
Yeah, we have a meeting about one thing, and I'm like, let's try and stay on target
Um
this time because we've got 20 different ideas coming out of one meeting when we're supposed to be talking about one certain thing. But
Yeah.
that's where the good ideas come from. So
Oh yeah, I know the feeling for sure.
yeah,
That's awesome. Kind of along those lines too, and this does lead me to a question. You guys talking about just your ability to try all these different things whenever a creative idea or potential presents itself. And from just this discussion cumulatively, it's apparent that you guys are actively listening to your customers and the people who are out there in the field using your stuff. So if somebody has an idea that's listening to this, whether they've used your products before or they're going to start after this, they haven't used them at all, but they're curious, what's that process look like for them to give you guys that feedback and maybe start a conversation over something that could either be a new product or improve a product in the future?
Yeah, really any way they want to communicate. We're managing our social media channels every day. We get a lot of messages through there. Email, phone call. If you call the shop, you're going to talk to most likely Ryan, probably most of the time. So any form of communication is great, and we do take those, feedbacks and ideas. And if it comes through our social media, I just pass it along to Ryan and the guys in the shop, and we kind of keep track of how many people are requesting certain products, what it is, and see what, how we can work those into kind of our design lineups and product launch plans over, the quarters and seasons and things like that. So that is, what we've always said is what we base our decisions on, because if we didn't, who's going to be buying products, if you're not listening to those people, that's where the ideas come from. And yeah, we take that pretty seriously.
The other thing, if you're coming to say Sam calls me and says, "Hey Ryan, I've got this new widget that I think is gonna like this, it could be the next coolest thing in the archery world," and I'm like, "Okay, like, can you send me a drawing?" First, I'll be like, "Hey, let's get an NDA signed, right? Like, I don't want to share your information. I want you to be protected." And you're like, "I don't have a drawing." And I'm going to super cool that you have on your website. His name's TJ Eads from Rack Hub. He does all of our design for us, and we work with him on a weekly basis sometimes, like where we're working back and forth on stuff. And yeah, he's designing it and then he's coming back and we're all just collaborating together on what this new product that Sam wants to come out. And then whether we're like we would like to machine it, but we're also helping you out. If you find somebody in Texas, maybe they can make it better. Like there's just that like startup, right? Like
Yeah,
here's your design cost, here's your like prototype, and you can take it wherever you need. We want to machine it, right? Like that's what I want to do. But if you're just like, no, that's enough, like, okay. So yeah,
easy enough. In theory, right?
Yeah.
In words.
in theory, sometimes
There's a
it's a
lot
longer,
more work to it, I know.
there's a lot of bit more moving parts because I'm getting Alex involved and she's like, this isn't what we want. And I'm like, no, this is a cool one. This is really cool. This will be worth it.
No, it's always cool. And I kind of from that too, like Ryan just kind of talked you through the whole process. We kind of started with some other people in the
Mm.
industry, uh collective, I guess you would say, called 50 Forge. So just our goal is to bring companies back to American manufacturing, or people like we just talked about that have an idea and don't really know how to get past just the idea phase of, making a product here in the States and putting it to market. So 50 Forge is there, just resources to help with getting companies to reshore or getting off the ground, whether it's, marketing related, manufacturing, whatever. So and outside of that, too, just having a resource to talk with other people who have been in the same position. So companies like ours, companies that have been around a lot longer, a lot bigger, and super successful. And just that's how we grow and make American manufacturing stronger. And so we kind of just use our expertise, I guess, from starting our own companies, and then same with others in the industry to try and get more people to, jump on board with that. So check that out, 50forge.com, kind of a new thing we're rocking with, but it's been really exciting.
That's awesome. Well, before I ask any other questions toward the end of our conversation here, have we missed anything as far as what's going on with VPA or any of your new and exciting stuff coming online in the near future?
I don't think so. Just an update. A squirrel was not shot in the front yard out here. Just so you know, like she didn't hold up a squirrel. So, but yeah, as far as the job, like what we're doing, we're excited. Like it's that time of year, and we know it. It's coming fast. Um, we can feel it and we can see it just by the number of orders coming in, also calls. Um, where like for me, it's my favorite time of the year, right? Like where I get to slow, like for me, even myself, like I get to slow down a little bit because I'll
Mhm.
come in a little bit later. I get to sit in the stand a little bit and just like mellow out, which I really appreciate.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this coming up, like I'm ready for it, but also like a little fear there too, right? Like, am I going to see that one to shoot? Like, is he going to come around? Like, I know he's on camera and I've seen him. I've been tracking him. But yeah, so there's some of that too. Antsy, maybe a little bit. So
Oh yeah.
I'm excited.
I think a lot of us are hitting those preseason that preseason antsiness right now and just yeah, ready to go. We're seeing that those antlers start to grow and everything and yeah,
Hmm.
it's getting exciting right now for sure. Focus is shifting to fall. So well, I know that Alex kind of gave me a heads up saying that y'all's hunting seasons last year didn't pan out quite like you had hoped, and I think your words were y'all don't have any cool stories or anything to share or um, something
Bummer.
along those lines. But light on hunting stories, that's what you said. But um, main, go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
See, I think that's why I'm ready for this year because I've told myself like I am gonna take more time. Like
Yeah.
fall is my busiest time of the year. And if I'm not in the shop, then things aren't good. But I am gonna make sure that I make an effort to do that more. Like I've got a spot in our shop that I can go out and sit out there. Like, why am I not like taking that time in the morning, just going in
Oh
and
yeah.
setting up there, which I can, I should.
Yeah.
And then people just call me
Hmm.
and they're like, "Hey, by the way, that buck's like right on the road over there. If you want to walk over there," I'm like, "Send them over this way. I don't want to kill them out by the highway." So
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it's Ryan hit it. I think it's just we get so caught up in uh the busyness of our business in the fall and just didn't get out there enough, but it makes you more excited, I guess, to try again. And I'm new to hunting, so it's been fun to still just get out and learn. I don't expect to be you know, just getting everything and everything, all at once. So it's been fun to just get out even this summer and shoot the bow in the backyard, like Ryan said, and makes you excited because you're talking to other people all day, every day about, their stuff coming up. And so it's nice to kind of take a step back and do it outside of work too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm trying to mix some stuff up this year myself because I I always take off and I'm fortunate just with the fire department and everything that I can do this, but um like I take off essentially almost the first half of each month of fall, like the first half of October and November and December, or try to do something close to that. And last year, I'm sitting in a stand beginning of bow season in Texas in October, and it's still 90 degrees outside. And I'm like, why am I doing this? So, like an idiot, we have to do our bids annually at the fire department. So, when I bid off my time for 2025, I bid the same stuff. And I was like, why did I do that? Like, I don't want to be sitting, like, even if I could shoot a doe or whatever, I don't really want to be sitting in a stand when it's 90 degrees outside. I'm not going to hunt just because I can hunt. So, I end up shifting some of my time off around to be a little more strategic with, the time of year as far as, pre-rut and rut and putting myself out there and more of a beneficial window, I would say. That and then, down here in Texas, it's easy to just play it cool and, go sit in your tree stand or in your ground blind next to your feeder and that kind of stuff. But I'm trying to put in some more spots on some bedding transition areas and hunt more trails this year too, because I got plenty of nice bucks out there, but I don't have a lot of nice bucks coming to feeders, and rightfully
Mm.
so. So I'm trying to take a page out of my buddy's book and be a better woodsman and put some setups in some more beneficial locations this year. Hopefully, make better use of my time in the woods. So.
Did I see you're putting in a couple food plots too?
We will be this year,
Okay.
we've been working on some stuff for sure. But
Okay, cool.
my biggest problem down here in Texas is just with the private land piece that we have to hunt down here is the landowner runs cattle on them. So if I don't want the cattle to get into anything, I either have to make it cattle proof or put a fence around it. And that's made food plots very challenging. So
Hmm.
we are throwing a little bit of seed out this year in some different spots, but I don't know. It's kind of we've had a very wet year down here, so um, that's been good in that regard. But I'm hoping that it just doesn't turn into a cow a cow meeting spot or nothing like that, by the end of it. So I'm try not to put it out there in the most obvious spots or spots where they frequent because they do have their own routines, it seems like. But yeah, so we kind of have it's kind of a juggling match down here as far as that kind of stuff goes. So,
Okay,
but
good, good.
well, last thing I want to ask y'all, and I probably asked this last episode, and it may have changed, it may have not. But before I let you guys go, wanted to ask y'all what kind of archery setups y'all are running for 2025. I know Ryan, you already mentioned the dialed sight and kind of your arrow weight that you're running, but what's the full setup look like for each of you?
I'm also running a Lift X this year.
Okay,
Excited to shoot that. Yeah, it'll be my first time running a lift. I'm running, yeah, my arrow setup, stand next release. Uh, yeah, I'm use dialed. I'm gonna also, I might take that recurve out a little bit, just because, or not recurve, but RLF riser. I'd like to try and use that a little bit. Got some arrows built for that. Um, Besides that, I'm gonna run that 125 on my left bevel up front, so to be a little bit lighter. So I'm excited also for, yeah, being able to like take the time to do that this year. Sorry, I
awesome.
feel discombobulated, like it's not coming out right. It was weird.
No, you're good.
He's always got to be fancy and get the newest, coolest stuff, right, Ryan? It's testing. He's doing testing.
All right, I'm all about R&D. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
about is
exactly.
R&D.
it's a tax
Yeah,
write-off.
it's
Yeah,
fun.
it
It's
is.
awesome. For me,
It's fun.
I just got, yeah, exactly. I'm still rocking. I've got a Bear legit, and for me, it's been great. I'm not shooting anything past like 30 is what I'm really comfortable with. Um, Black Eagle, Outlaw arrows, but I think Ryan might hook me up with some custom arrows maybe this weekend. I'm back in the
Nice.
shop. And then I have the 125 grain Omega with bleeders on last season as I was practicing, and I'm gonna stick with that too this season. So I didn't have any issues getting them tuned in, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier. Same with field points, and as long as my bow is tuned up good, I was hitting good. So it's been fun. I'm excited.
That's awesome. So I do have a kind of stemming off of that a little bit. I do have a question for you, Alex, just for our huntresses out there and our female archers that might be tuning in, because you just mentioned that you're running a 125 grain broadhead. And
Hmm.
I think again, going back to just kind of those preconceived notions that just kind of linger around the archery industry, it's like, oh, well, 100 grains, or if you shoot a lighter poundage bow or have a shorter draw length, you got to run something lighter. So what is, if you don't
Hmm.
mind me asking, what is your draw length and your draw weight that
Hmm.
you're shooting with those 125s?
Yeah, so I'm right 26 draw length and then a point, I think just under 50 pounds. I've been trying to hit the weights and get that up a little bit, but so far it's been working good for me. I mean, I haven't harvested anything with that setup. So hopefully this season I can report back next time we're on with the results. But as far as practicing and just working with the guys on the shop with what works good for kind of my setup, it's been good.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would certainly. I imagine it won't be the last time we have you on the show, and after deer season, I definitely would be curious, especially if you're having success to share with our listeners kind of how that worked out and everything. Because again, that's to me, it sounds like a deadly setup, but again, it's not something you hear a lot of folks with that draw length and draw weight running. So I'm excited to see the results of that.
Yeah, hopefully there'll be good results. We'll see. I got to get some time off work, I guess, and get out there more this season. I
Absolutely. Well, guys, anything else y'all want to add before we wrap up the show?
don't think so.
Yeah,
Just check us
Good.
out,
Thanks for having us on.
vparchery.com. Yeah. Social media, we're on all that good stuff. Um, yeah, those new product launches, keep an eye out for those coming up here soon.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited, and yeah, the stuff that you guys got rolling out, it sounds like it's going to be pretty awesome. So definitely encourage people to go check you guys out and follow along, go to the website, all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, thanks for coming on the show again. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in to another Fall Obsession podcast. We're going to wrap this one up, and I will be back with you guys again next week for another episode. Catch you then.